Okay, welcome to the AEN channel. Today I'm joined by Fiona Caban and Brett Peel from the Hunter Valley Cutting Horse Club. Guys, you've just come off the back of a massive show last weekend. Congratulations on running such a successful show. Firstly, tell me a little bit about your club and roughly, how many shows you would be running a year and what you're planning to do in the future.
To begin with, the club was actually founded by four guys in particular, which were Craig Emmerton, Lyndon Moore, who is also Corey Moore's grandfather. We had the Corey Moore Memorial, of course, and Brian Collard and Colin Harder. Those guys put a lot into cutting in some of the early years, put a hell of a lot into this club and to a point have made it what it is today. They used to run a hell of a lot of shows all over the Hunter Valley. The Hunter Valley Club's been running for the previous X amount of years, 2 shows a year. We plan on running quite a few more and quite a different variety of shows and clinics and different things, and plan on changing a lot of things, yeah.
So obviously a cracking show last weekend. You had over 360 runs, great views on the webcast. I think there was over nearly over 8,000 views on the webcast, which is fantastic for a weekend show. And we saw a lot of the Victorians come up. It was actually their first show of the season, which was fantastic to see them get out and about and see a lot of them in the winner's circle as well. And tell me a little bit about sort of a feature event was the Futurity, and it was actually happened to be the biggest Futurity that was ran this year. Tell me a bit about that.
We were pretty lucky. Obviously, it was really special to be able to have the Victorians to be able to attend with the whole year that we've had. Let alone the fact that their horses were amazing. It didn't seem to somehow hinder them whatsoever, the fact that they haven't got to too much this year. Yeah. The standard was great. It was really, really good to be able to have them come along. They got to come to a Hunter Valley Cutting Horse Club show, which they probably have never really been to before. Yeah. And it certainly lifted the standard of our show.
Yeah, it's excellent. And we saw some...
On the back of that, I certainly think one big thing to be pointed out there was the level of cutting that we've seen right across the board, but especially in that open Futurity, and especially hats off to Aaron and Lindsay Wheatley and Troy Randall and Jason McClurg, all those guys that came up from the South, Corey Holden, Scotty Campbell. I mean, all their horses looked really good. Aaron and Lindsay, their horses to me were as tough as anything that we've seen at any of the previous Futurities this year that have been able to run. Yeah. So that was really good.
Yeah, we saw the open class taken out by Matt Oakley and Highway to Hell with a cracking 77 points, and I think that was something fantastic to watch the whole way through in the 2 herds. It was great to see horses come out that we haven't seen for such a long time and compete and do it really well.
Certainly,
it's pretty special. Like you come out and you get a 75 slap down and you're like, oh wow, cool, that was a great run. Then you saw a 76 and then you're like, well, is it possible? And then Matt came out with a 77. But not often will you ever get to see 2 herds of cutting of that standard in Australia. So it was really special to finish the year off at that level of cutting.
And once again, some super good horses in there, some super good young horses. Corey Holden had a 4-year-old there. Little Roan mare was probably as nice a horse as we'll ever see. She was phenomenal. But that open cutting was as good as I think we'll see for a long time.
Yeah, excellent. So you guys have some big plans for next year's show. You've had your sponsors come on board big time. So tell me a little bit about what you guys are planning for next year's show. We've
been so lucky. There's not a sponsor that I rang that I put the show to that I was declined. We were really, really fortunate in the way that everybody that we asked came on board. All of those, thanks to services like yourself, were so impressed with the show and with the webcast that they can't wait for the next show. Let alone, obviously, the massive announcement as Fine Arc Engineering coming on board as our event partners for 2021. So some seriously exciting times ahead for what used to be a little Scone cutting club that's now growing rapidly, thanks very much to the support of competitors, of sponsors. You know, like it's a great location. You know, it's really easy to get to from north, from south. Brett does a really good job finding cattle, but obviously we've got a new beautiful indoor arena. So it's like we've been very fortunate that, you know, everything has sort of fallen into place for this new committee in order to really help grow the sport of cutting.
And certainly the location of White Park in Scone, you can actually unload your horses, leave your truck and trailer hooked up, and you can walk to Coles in 5 minutes. You can walk to a pub or a club in 2 minutes. You can basically discover the whole town from White Park in walking distance. It's not that small either, but
no,
but it's you know, it's probably the only town that I know of that you can go to a horse show as big as this, leave everything hooked up, go downtown within the space of 5 minutes, and be wherever you need to be. It's really good.
Yeah, it's excellent. And I think, you know, looking at it on the East Coast wise, Scone is such a central location. So it is a draw card for not just southern competitors, but as well as, you know, our Queensland competitors and such. So I think it's certainly something that can, you know, grow and develop. And as the show develops, and as we've seen sponsors coming on board with that great trailer that's going to be on offer next year, it's certainly going to be a huge draw card for a lot of competitors from afar to make that effort to come down. And it's not that hard to get to. It's in the middle of New South Wales. It's all the roads are good these days. Highways are great, so you can very accessible area to get to. So yeah, it should be good. And it's very good for the local towns, obviously, as well. You know, as you said earlier, Scone's a smaller town. So, you know, bringing these competitors from afar is definitely going to help the town to, you know, further showcase the town and develop that as well.
For sure. And I mean, Scone's a great town. Like Brett was saying, we've got everything here that you could possibly need. And it's all within a very small vicinity, which is really good. You know, we were very lucky that, like, we not only did we have the 8,000 people view over the webcast, but we paid out nearly $45,000 in prize money at this last show. 11 of that was added money, so it wasn't just a jackpot. There was a lot of added money there, and there was a lot of really positive comments and feedback from competitors when they went to the pay window to pick up their checks of what the amount that they had won. So it makes it all worthwhile. You know, it's a lot of work, especially in COVID times, to run a show.
Yeah.
And it's certainly, you know, we definitely got the feedback that we wanted and needed, I suppose, you know, to make it all very worthwhile.
That's it. And I think that's one of the most important things when running shows is you have to tick off the boxes with a lot of things. You're not just running a show, you've got to create a bit of atmosphere, something that people want to go to and make that effort. Because if you can, you know, knock all a few things on the head and go, yeah, we've got atmosphere, we've got happy sponsors, we've got happy competitors, you know, good cattle and good cutting all in all, that really creates an event of all things. And I think we certainly saw that in Scone on the weekend, and especially for just what was supposed to be a small weekend show. It's really showcased what it could potentially be, you know, as it grows and develops. And as you said, that facility there, it's so great for the community too. You know, it's always good to have a roof over your head. You know, saves you from plenty of wild weather. And I think that atmosphere was, you know, further developed as well by, you know, we had Scone Toyota bring all their vehicles and put them on the concourse there, and it gives it that professional aspects and shows off those, you know, those sponsors' products as well really well.
Yeah, we're lucky in a lot of respects. We've got we're only a small committee, but a small tight-knit committee. You know, Fiona, myself, Maddie, you know, we had to do a hell of a lot. We had Jack Johnson, who was unbelievable with the cattle. Jack virtually handled 1,100 head, you know, breaking herds up and loading trucks and unloading, doing everything that needs to be done. You know, virtually did that on his own, and that's how Jack rolls. He can do anything. But you know, Simon Palmer, Colin Moore, Ross and Ben Watson. You know, we've got a really good, strong committee, and when everyone steps in and hooks in, it's really good.
Excellent.
let alone our pop-up secretary of Liz Smith, who got thrown way in the deep end
Yeah,
and
old Leslie hooked in. That was good.
just stepped right up and did a spectacular job. So we're very, very lucky that, like Brett said, there's only a handful of us, but we work really well together, and it definitely makes putting on an event, a joy. And then again, there's people like yourself, there's Em Pendergast, there's Pippi. I mean, it's really quite a little family community when it comes to this club. Like, I don't know, I think Pippi's been announcing at Hunter Valley Cutting Horse shows ever since I can remember, let alone Lionel Caban's.
You've got, he kept the competitors rolling through, I think, as fast as any cutting ever has, without having to do much whatsoever. He was on the ball. He had everyone ready to go. Nothing was ever out of place to a point, I think. Yeah.
You don't need a 1 minute clock when you got Lionel.
You don't need one.
So as a club, obviously, this show sparked a lot of interest with the number of entries it had. Why do you think so many people were interested in coming? Not just because they hadn't shown their horses much, but there would have been some added bonuses and incentives to sort of lure them in to come for the weekend?
Well, yes, there was a total payout of $45,000. Out of that, the club put $11,000 in. So, some of those events paid. The Open Non-Pro, for instance, from memory, was about $2,030 payout, to first place. Second place was $1,500. There's not too many places you go anymore where, basically a weekend show where you get a payout like that. I believe the Open Futurity was, was knocking on the door of $4,000 to first place. So we done what we could to put as much as we felt we could back into the payouts. And we endeavour to keep doing this, to make it's good to go and show your horses, but it's fantastic when you can actually make it pay, and people, that's what we need. And obviously we can grow on that.
We were really fortunate to have some amazing sponsors come on board wanting to add some bonuses. So Peter and Darlene Gray called me and said, look, we want to be involved. We love that you're trying to run a show. No one's been able to do this. So how can we help? How can we support you? They added $750 bonus to the highest scoring open competitor in that futurity section. So that was a 147, and that went to Phil Dawson and Lindsay Wheatley. So they got to split that in half. It was a $250 bonus to the highest scoring non-pro in either round of the non-pro futurity. Yeah. And then we had Keith and Lisa Stones bring up, and they are all about encouraging beginners and wanting to support those who are just getting started. So they put up a $250 bonus to an encouragement award in the Snafflebit class. So not only did we have our regular payouts, but on top of that, we had these little cool bonuses that you don't ever get to see, it was really, really encouraging. The amount of support that we had and the amount of money that we got to pay out.
Plus, obviously, the 4 buckles and other prizes that we got. We also done something different for the youth. We put a swag up for the youth, which was a cool little prize for them, we had obviously the amateur futurity buckle in the non-pro. We had futurity buckle for the rookies. That attracted a hell of a lot of rookies. I think we had 42 competitors in the rookies.
It's really good for the industry when there is, at these smaller weekend shows, when there is actually some really good money up for grabs and those other incentives as well with those bonus prizes too. It's certainly, it does make it worth the while putting the horses on the truck and going down the road to have a bit of a crack. So it's really good to see, and I think we have seen this change with, and not just in the cutting industry. I have noticed a lot in some of the camp draft committees as well, big money's being put up as well, and smaller committees working really hard to create good weekend shows that really incentivise riders to come.
It was great. We were giving away bags of feed, buckles, like Brett said, amazing big boxes of Foresight. Foresight came on board as a great sponsor. So, it seemed every time I was turning around, I was either giving out a bag of Johnson's feed or a cinch bag or Foresight or a buckle or something, and it just lights people's faces up. Like, look at little Abby Smith. She showed for the first time hands down and won this beautiful Bobbird buckle. It was really cool.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time, guys, to have a chat to me. And obviously, congratulations to yourselves and your committee on running such a fantastic show. And it's really exciting for the cutting industry to be able to have these shows continuing to grow. And I certainly look forward to next year to see the show next year and who's gonna take home that Fine Arc trailer. I think that'll be a very exciting show to watch. There'll be a heap of competitors at that, I'm sure. And so, as I said, congratulations, guys, and thank you for taking the time out today to have a chat to me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amelia.
Thank you very much for being a huge part of our team, because, I mean, without you guys at AEN, there is no way that we could put on the calibre of show that we do without, you know, supplying your services to our sponsors and being able to bring that webcast to over 8,000 people.
Too right.
Thank you very much. Righto, guys, we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.